Hi and welcome back to That Office Guy. Today I'm going to show you guys how to use the AND function. The AND function is incredibly useful, specifically if you do not have a Microsoft 365 account. That being said, if you're just running something like Microsoft 2019 or 2016, this actually allows you to use nested ifs in a slightly different way. So it's actually a pretty useful and powerful formula and function that you do want to understand. So as we get into this, if you find it useful and informative, do hit that like button. I appreciate that. If you're new, make sure you subscribe and you'll be kept up to date with all the hints and tips that we have here at That Office Guy. Right, with all that said, done and out of the way, let's jump down to the desktop and talk about this particular function and how to use it. Okay guys, so here we are on the desktop and we're going to start off really basic and then we're going to build up into something a little bit more complicated. So the AND formula is exactly that. It allows you to check to see if a function returns true or false. And this is really useful because it means that you can check multiple criteria, and if all the criteria come together correctly, it will display the word true. And obviously you can then use this how you would normally with something like an if formula. And what we're going to do is just take a look at this very first formula here. So and A2 greater than 1, A2 less than 100. Okay, so if A2, which is up here, that has the value of 50 in it, is greater than 1, then it's going to be true. But is it also less than 100? In the case of this 50, it is. So what we actually have as a result here is the word true. And this is really useful because now we can use this, and we can use this for conditional formatting. We could use this for inside an if formula, right? So we can go if and A2 greater than 1, A2 less than 100. If that is true, then do something. If not, do something different. And this is really useful because if you're running an older version of Microsoft Excel, it means that you'll be able to use this rather than the new ifs function, which is obviously really, really powerful in terms of adding multiple criteria. So one to obviously be aware of, I think AND is still very, very useful. I use it occasionally. Not that I use it all the time, but it is something that you should probably know. Okay, so really straightforward example there. Does A2, is it greater than 1, and is A2 less than 100? It is in the case that A2 is actually 50. So let's actually use this in an example then, because here we have an if statement. Okay, and we're going if and A2 is less than A3, and if A2 is less than 100. If so, then we obviously want to bring back A2. If it is not, the value is out of the range. Okay, so that's a pretty standard kind of if formula, but we have obviously used the and inside there as the criteria. So if you are familiar with how to use if, then all you know is we've just replaced the criteria, the check, the logical test, with an and function instead. Right, so the and is and, open up a parentheses, A2, so 50, is it less than A3, which is 100? It is. But is it also A2 less than 100? And A2 being 50 is less than 100, so it also returns true. Both those checks of A2 being less than A3 and A2 being less than 100 is true. So as a result of that, we want to return the value of A2, which is 50. Okay, and that's exactly what is displayed over here inside the results. So it's a pretty straightforward and standard way to actually apply the AND function in a real use case, right? With AND, again, you can add many different criteria. So we actually come back into here, we can actually see that we can, I don't know how many you can add. Is it just 2 or is it more? I think it might have up to about, yeah, you can add up to 255 different criterias, right? They all obviously have to equal the same. They have to equal true, right? Every test, it's an AND test. So basically it's this and this and this and this. All of those have to be equaling true in order for the formula to then go to the next step of actually displaying the word true. Otherwise, it will come back as false. So obviously 255 checks to see if something does return true is probably over the top. You probably don't need that much, but it is something that's going to be very, very useful, specifically for those older versions of Microsoft Excel. With that being said, even 365 users will find the AND function very, very useful under certain circumstances. So really, really good and easy to use. Now, obviously the last check down here is if and A3 is greater than 1, okay, and A3 is 100, so it is, But is A3 less than 100? Well, it isn't, because actually A3 is 100. And what we haven't done here inside our logical test of the AND is to say it's equal to and less than, or less than equal to 100. So the fact that it is not less than 100, it is in fact equal to 100, would basically return a false statement rather than a true statement. Okay, so here we can obviously see there's a bit of a description, right? They display the value in cell A3 if it is greater than 1 and less than 100. Otherwise, it displays the message. And you can substitute any message of your choice, right? So in here, we could obviously put in just a 0 or a number or something that is meaningful to what you're trying to do as a part of your Excel sheet. But ultimately, if you wanted to also change this to actually saying equal to 100 or less than or equal to, right? Again, you can do that within this AND formula, within that logical test. So again, this is a really simple and useful way to basically add multiple checks within inside your if formulas and if functions. And again, this would have quite a severe use case and very, very good one. If you're doing many different kind of calculations, you might want to be looking up financial information, and under certain circumstances and under certain tests, scenarios, you might want to bring certain pieces of information into the fold. So this is really useful. So definitely something that I think many people should be aware of in the space. It is very useful in order to basically progress your Excel documents to the next step. So guys, I'm not going to talk more about this particular formula. It is a very straightforward one and a very easy one to use. I do recommend everyone has a little play with this. It is something that I think many people will obviously find useful, specifically if you're not running a 365 license and you're on potentially an older version of Microsoft Excel. If you have found this useful and informative, hit the like button. I appreciate that. If you're new, make sure you do subscribe and you'll stay up to date with all the hints and tips that we have here for Microsoft Office. Right, with all that said, done and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.